there is no rebranding with this president, because he would not rebrand himself. He's not capable of it. He doesn't want to. He's going to double, triple, quadruple down. And I want to give a brand warning out there, because we need to buckle up. Whatever imagination can take you, what this brand would do, cheat, steal, start a war, rig an election, wherever your mind can take you, that is what he is capable of. So I want to give a brand warning. June 1st was just the beginning. Buckle up. Things we have not even thought about historically will happen. Like I said, even him starting a war, wherever your mind can take you, the lowest step, what this caged animal, I'm not literally calling him an animal, but what a caged animal would do, he is capable of doing. I think the next 5 months will be 5 of the most tumultuous months our country has ever seen throughout history.
The majority of Americans feel the country is spinning out of control, according to a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. The poll, which was conducted during the aftermath of George Floyd's death, and as the U.S. surpassed over 100,000 coronavirus deaths, found that 80% of Americans say America is out of control. 15% say they feel that things are under control. And almost 6 in 10 voters are more concerned about the death of George Floyd and the actions of the police than they are about any violence that may have broken out during recent protests. Now, breaking that down by party, that includes 81% of Democrats, 59% of independents, and 29% of Republicans. The NBC poll also has Joe Biden up over Donald Trump nationally. Biden's ahead by 7 points, 49% to Donald Trump's 42%. Those numbers are unchanged since April and a little lower than some other polls that have been coming out. Among voters living in the top battleground states, Joe Biden is up 8 points against the president, 50 to 42%. I think Biden's up 12% in a recent Michigan poll. And Joe Biden also has a 14-point lead over the president. In the new CNN SSRS poll, Biden now sits at 55% of support, up 4 points since last month, while Donald Trump slides 5 percentage points to 41%. That's a staggering 14-point lead. And a little over half the voters nationally say that the president would be better to handle the economy, 51 to 46, but a majority believe that Joe Biden would handle the coronavirus response better, 55 to 41%. Leading America through crisis, Biden wins big, double digits again there, 55% to 41%. And race relations, not even a close call, Joe Biden 63%, Donald Trump 31%. Jonathan O'Meara, I also talked about that Michigan poll. You've been saying for some time that people inside the White House are so concerned about Michigan, they're afraid that it may be slipping away and they may have to refocus some of their efforts elsewhere moving forward. He, of course, had a fight with the very popular governor there, wouldn't even call her by her name, kept talking about that woman, promised to defund Michigan later on when he didn't like a certain tweet or a certain thing that was going on regarding absentee mailing applications. And now, of course, you see these polls and Joe Biden just getting more and more strength. It seems every week there. He's up 53% to 41% in Michigan right now, which all of these numbers, the independent numbers, by the way, Jonathan, are absolutely staggering. Independents obviously make a huge difference in the state of Michigan. But when it comes to independents, Joe Biden, 63%, Donald Trump, 23%. It's obviously right now, it's only June. We still have several months to go. But you're reporting right now, an AP story you wrote that just dropped, the White House obviously deeply concerned about the president's political prospects. What can you tell us?
That's exactly right, Joe. Michigan is the most extreme example of this. They know he is down there. He is down big. They're all but written it off. They're not willing to pull the plug just yet in Michigan, but they're exceedingly pessimistic about the state, which in 2016 he won by far the smallest margin. But their problems are not just in Michigan. There are some states that a few months ago they were counting into being reliably Republican. Ohio, Georgia, maybe even Texas, where they now are concerned. Maybe not that they will lose there, but they're going to have to expend time and resources there. And of course, there's a slew of battleground states where they are right now uniformly losing, according to the public polls and their own internal surveys. And that includes, yes, places like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, but also Florida and Arizona. Now, yeah, as you just said, it is only the first week of June. We've still got a long time to go, but they are now desperately trying to find a new message. As we discussed last hour, there's going to be a ramping up of the attacks on Joe Biden, on things like China, the allegations of corruption against Hunter Biden, certainly the try to make the play about the crime bill and trying to connect that to all the events we've seen of the last week or two. But let's remember, of course, when the crime bill passed, and certainly there's been a lot of debate about that, the majority of the Congressional Black Caucus also supported it. That's already been the Biden defense to that, as much as they believe things need to be amended and changed now. We saw the president try to seize upon the good economic numbers on Friday, and that seems to be their answer for just about everything, but that's a risky proposition. We don't know that the recovery is going to be in a straight line. Certainly, if there were surges of the pandemic, whether stemming from these mass protests, these large gatherings, there is a concern in the White House. We might have an uptick in cases, or the much predicted second wave this fall. Both of those things not only would be a public health crisis, but of course slow down the economic recovery. And they know they have concerns elsewhere, Joe. The president has had issues with women voters for quite some time. Suburban voters, and certainly in states like Pennsylvania, have largely slipped away from him. And as you said, their efforts to try to win African-American voters, or at least depress the excitement of African-Americans to vote against him, seems like they've gone out the window. There's an attempt to have a listening tour. There's just forming a task force in the White House to try to talk about these issues. That has yet to get off the ground weeks into this crisis. And those voters probably are slipping away. And we're seeing they're fearful of young voters and minority voters now that much more excited to vote for Joe Biden in the aftermath of the pandemic and these national protests.
At Square, going to the church and holding that Bible up awkwardly, as Peggy Noonan said, like no one she'd ever seen in history. It's also, by the way, Republican James Langford said he reads the Bible every day and he's never seen anybody hold the Bible that way. Peggy suggesting that Donald Trump showed contempt for his base, for his supporters, thinking they were too stupid to see through his stunt. Apparently, they aren't, and they are seeing through the stunt, and also very concerned with what they're seeing. The President Trump's favorability rating among white evangelical Protestants now 62% in May. That's down 15% since March. Among white mainline Protestants, 51%. That's down 11 points since March. It's holding the same with non-white Protestants at 40%. White Catholics, this is a staggering number, Mike, 37% now, down 23 percentage points. And the religiously unaffiliated, 34%, down 2 percentage points. Since March, Mike, Donald Trump's numbers have collapsed, especially among Catholics. And that obviously